Hello, students, and you are welcome. Today's class is on variables and Python mathematics. Variables and Python mathematics. Now, variables and Python mathematics, quite an interesting concept that we will be exploring today. What are variables and how do we do math in Python? Variables and Python mathematics. So when we ask this question, variables and Python mathematics, the question answers itself. How do we do variables? What are variables and how do we do mathematics in Python? Of course, in mathematics, variables are cornerstone to solving mathematical problems, which we'll be seeing today. We'll try to solve one or two equations with our beautiful Python mathematics. But first, we must understand what variables are. I believe I've defined variables in the last class as memory spaces that take up information. And I explained the structure, the process of a variable being instantly created and filled up at the same time. So two processes occurring anytime you say A equals 5. A is being created as a memory space and it is being filled with the value of 5 at the same time. So we're going to dump that and maybe go straight forward to more of the Python mathematics. So let's see. Now, mathematically speaking, if we had a mathematical equation like x plus 2 equals 5. X plus 2 equals 5. We know x is 7, right? Now, in Python, we can represent this also in a kind of a variable reality, whereby we would be able to begin to see how Python could do some mathematics to solve it. Do you understand? So if you think about this, ask yourself the question, what algorithm could you write to solve x plus 2 equals 5? First of all, in code form, we would like to say an unknown variable would exist, and then we would take the content of the unknown variable and put it into another variable, and then subtract them, and then we'll see the results of the outcome. Is that clear? But let's first see what Python naturally thinks about that. So let's go to our board. Let's work with the Code Studio this time around, and let's see what Python thinks about x plus 2 equals 5. So let's start. X plus 2 equals 5. Now, Python does not know what x is because x has not been determined, right? So you are saying x plus 2 equals 5. Python would disagree with you. Do you understand? So what are we going to do? Just say print x. And in our mind, we are thinking, oh, capital letter, let's take that down. In our minds, we are thinking Python should understand and do the right thing. But it doesn't work that way. So if we say print text, let's run this code and see the outcome ourselves. Oh, it's a bunch of rubbish. Are you see? Python is telling you, I don't get what you mean. How can x plus 2 exist? What is x? You see? So Python is telling you it doesn't know that. Okay, so let's go back to our board. So in this case, one of the safest ways to look at this is that 2 and 5 could be defined as variables, and we look at their subtraction, and then we say, okay, that's our Python. Or you could draft this as a question and write an algorithm to solve it. Do we understand? And we look at the twisting of the variables. Very interesting programming idea. So let's start. we'll be introducing the input function in this class, because I know we have not introduced the input function before. But do we need it for this topic? Let's still do it, because we have topics in front that would introduce the input function. Let's just see if we can write a sharp code to solve an equation. Any equation we put into it, that would be more interesting. Okay, so if I say x plus 2 equals 5, and let's say I write it as a string, and we want the system to solve this, we would have to break it down, and this could result in a more complex code. So I'm trying to be on the safe side, not to complicate your lives too much. So let's see, x plus 2 equals 5, and you want to solve that. Well, the only way to accept it is as a string, so let's just leave that string there. So the first thing you'll be looking at is, you want to take in the value of 2, right? And you want to take in the value of 5, and then you would want to take 2 and 5 together using the opposite sign of plus, and that's going to be a lot of gibberish. So in this case, that would be a lot. It would be better to just establish a kind of calculation. So let's just establish a kind of calculation. In that case, because I've looked at the code, in the future, we'll be working on something like that, whereby you could just write a mathematical equation as a string, and the system will pieces it and take the parts apart, take it apart, and solve it. That is beautiful, and we're going to be doing that. But for now, let's stick to what's simple. Okay, so in this case, we'll define something like x equals 5, and then we can say y equals 10, and then we could do all sorts of things with x and y. Now we could say x raised to power y. In Python, raised to power is given as star star. So x raised to power y, what would that be? We can print that out, and we would have whatever x is raised to the power of whatever y is. Let's look at that in our code studio. Okay, all right, to define that, let's go to our code studio and look at that. I know code studio sounds like Coke Studio, but hey, not Coke Studio. Okay, so let's run this code. Oh, it gave us the answer. So that is x raised to the power 5, and that is whatever x is raised to the power of whatever y is. 5 raised to the power 10, I guess. That's a lot, and that's a huge number. That's beautiful. All right, so that's one part of mathematics that we've looked at. Let's see if we can take it even further, right? Even further. Let's reduce the font here so that we can do more. Okay. All right. So now we move to the next one, and then we can say we want to reduce something or cut something down by division. Let's look at division, right? So we could say x, or we could say print x divided by y. Almost certainly always a float. Is that clear? Almost certainly always a float. So we'll look at that. Print x divided by y. Let's add that to our code and run it again. That gives us 0.5. 5 divided by 10 is definitely 0.5. So let's look at other things. What other things can we try mathematically? We could look at what we call floor division. And in floor division, we would have print x divided by y. Double division. Okay, so let's take that and then use that in our studio, and let's see the outcome. Okay, 0. What does that mean? If x all over y gives us x double all over with y, let's try y double all over with x. Maybe that will give us insight into what it means. Y double all over x. Okay, let's copy that. Okay, so what will that give us? Let's go to our code studio and add that there. Okay, so let's run the code again. 2. Interesting. 0 and 2. So that tells us if we do x all over y, it gives us 0.5. But the double slash gives us 0. If we do y all over x, we get different ones. Okay, something tells me to play a trick. Let's make x closer to y by making y 7.5. That makes it much more interesting. Okay, so let's run this code. Okay, that is way too much decimals. Let's go back to being our own number. Okay, cool. So now 0 and 1. So what is y all over x? Because that's what's going to give us what we need. I would know what that double division actually means. Oh, we see. Oh, I wrote x over y twice, sorry. Y all over x. So let's run that. Running that code now, you can see, oh, so it means the floor division took the first number. Because x all over y is 0.714, it just gave us the 0. And y over x is 1.4, it just gave us the 1. So that means that double division gives only the integer part of the division. Oh, that's why they call it floor division, because it doesn't float, it stays on the floor. Because remember, floats are decimals. Floor will be what? Integers. Isn't that beautiful? Wonderful. So since the number doesn't float, it stays on the ground, we have our beautiful outcome. So we now know what floor division does. Now the question we want to ask ourselves under this floor division is, can we get the decimal parts of a division using a combination of floor division and normal division? Okay, so that's too large. Let's reduce the font and take it up. Oh, yeah, we don't want that flip downwards. Okay, so what can we say about that? Okay, what can we do? Is it possible to do something that would give us the right results we're looking for? Oh, let us try. Let us try something interesting. So let's say we want to get the decimal part of a division, right? Okay. So we have variables like a equals 4, right? Where's my a? I swallowed it. So let me do that. A equals 4. And the next thing we have is y equal b equals 3. And then after that, we are looking at, we get the division first, a all over b, and store it in the variable c. So c equals a all over b. Remember, that's going to be a decimal, always. And then we go d equals to a floor b. Now, this one we know is going to give us both the decimal and the number. The second one will give us only the whole number. If we subtract them, that should give us the decimal part of the division. Let's try that. I hope we understand, or we have to go over it again. Remember, our normal division gives us something point something. That's a number. It's a float. Our floor division gives us the integer, which is just the one in front. So if I have 1.2 and I have 1, I can get 0.2 by saying 1.2 minus 1. And I have 0.2, which is the decimal part of that number. Okay, so we can say normal division minus floor division will give us our outcome. So we'll print the three of them in sequence. E followed by D followed by C. And then we can then see the outcome. All right, let's save that. Let's copy that and go and test it in our code studio. Okay, so there we have it. Let's run this code. Oh, so the decimal is 0.3326. The whole number is 1, and the one with the decimal is 1.3333. So this minus this gives us this. Beautiful. Now we are able to find the decimal part of numbers. That is fantastic. All right. Now I would like to give you an assignment to do something crazy, like solve a quadratic equation. Do you understand? But let's get to a point where we have more fluid. So I'll give you a simpler assignment, which I'm going to write on the screen now, and I expect you to do it and get it to me through the normal route. So write a Python program that takes two numbers, extracts their decimal. Write a Python program that takes two numbers, extracts their decimal parts, and sums them up. Also extracts their whole number parts and sums them up and gives us the result. Beautiful. So we can see, write a Python program that takes two numbers, extracts their decimal parts and sums them up, also extract their own number parts and sums them up, and gives us the result. So this is your assignment. I expect you to do it and get back to me. It's been a beautiful class, understanding Python mathematics and variables, and we'll be looking into equation solving sometime in the future, and we'll look at our topics as they proceed step by step. For those of you on YouTube, you want to get across to me, my name is Ayo Gbadebo. My phone number is 081-3662-8035. You can reach me on WhatsApp. You can reach me on Telegram. I'm always available. Also, you can reach me on codexophidian.pythonanywhere.com. It's cool, and have a lovely